going on, YouTube? Welcome back. It's Yums, and today it's time for another mini scheme Monday. This week we're a little bit late with the upload. My apologies. Had some real life stuff happen, but we're still getting it up just a day late. And we have an absolute heater this week. The first ever defensive mini scheme Monday. Let's jump into it. We're going to learn how to run some heaters. We're going to learn how to adjust some coverage behind it. And I think you guys are going to like what we see today. Come on. Jumping into practice mode here. We are going to be in the Steelers defensive playbook. It's going to be the only playbook that has this formation. And we're going to be running the 1-5-5 double A gap. It's a really interesting formation. You can bring unique pressure. The opponent never really knows who's blitzing, where the pressure is coming from. You can keep mixing things up, create some easy turnovers, and it's what you're looking for in Madden 22. If you can get a turnover, that's usually the difference in the game. So jumping into the formation subs here. In Mutt, we're going to want to go ahead and replace this middle linebacker. We're going to replace him with Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is who I have there. That's who I'd recommend there, because you need somebody who can pass rush but also drop into a zone, and Jock doesn't have great pass rush moves, but he does have great speed and size. So I'd go ahead and put him there. As far as the other guys on the line, you just want, you know, your best three edge rushers. I run unpredictables on these three, just like I would in 3-3-5 wide. And that gives me some pretty good results against the pass and the run. It increases the rate at which the pressure is going to come. It just gets off a little bit faster. You can still get pressure without it if you're in regs or whatever. But if you are in Mutt, you know, go ahead and throw 3 AP on your line and grab that. Moving down, these two guys are middle linebackers. We're going to want to obviously go ahead and switch those into our safeties. In Mutt, that's going to be our user or our users, depending on if you ever flip sides. Jumping into our audibles, we're going to want to go with nickel blitz overload 3, nickel dog 2, and lastly mid blitz. The last one doesn't matter much. I usually just leave it as cover 3 show 2. It's a little bit better against the run if somebody is trying to tote on you. And that's why I leave that one there. As far as coaching adjustments, there are no coaching adjustments in practice mode, but the coaching adjustments I do run, I'm always going to run play ball in any defense that I'm in. And the default zone drops that I go with on this are going to be a 5 for my purples. So my curl flats or purples are going to be on 5. And my light blues are going to be on 15. I explained this in a previous video. Most competitive Madden players flip our blues and purples because the light blues actually play the sideline better. So we want them to play the deeper routes. I do make tweaks to those zone adjustments based on what the opponent is running. So those are the standards that I run out there with. If somebody's not dumping off the flat, obviously we want to go ahead and bump those purples back. Say if somebody's running gun split twins at like a 10-20 zone drop. But don't always think that you're going to want to set it on 5-15. That's just the most basic zone drop I can give you with this defense. That's what I set it at the majority of the time when I break the first huddle. The first setup we're going to go over is the cover 3 blitz. That's going to be nickel overload 3. I'm going to go ahead, and our user is always going to be this guy. We want to go ahead and pinch the line. Don't want to pinch the whole defense down, just the line. So left on the D-pad, down on the left stick. And then we are going to want to crash the line up. So left on the D-pad, up on the right stick. You want to go ahead and do that twice because it doesn't register the first time. So go ahead and crash twice. So left on the D-pad, up on the right stick twice. And then lastly, you're going to want to contain, which is right bumper twice. So it should look like this. Now we'll go ahead and snap this ball. When I snap this ball, you're going to want to hover right here over the center. The way to do this year is you want to L2, R2 just a little bit. So you want to strafe, catch him, and then get out of there. It takes a little practice. You don't want to get engaged in a block. If you get engaged in a block, this defense is going to be bad because much like 3-3-5 wide, there's nothing in the middle but your user, as you can see. So this is going to be the 5-man pressure. As you can see, there's 2 guys coming on my right and 3 on my left. We're going to be dropping as the user into the middle of the field back here and trying to cover anything crossing just long enough for our pressure to get home. Let's go ahead and snap the ball. See, it's kind of hard to hover when I'm trying to use both controllers, but we will go back and take a look. You can see we hover. 61 does look at me. I don't get engaged in a block, so I get out of there. And you can see that, and this is the key to this entire blitz here, is that this guy gets passed off on the outside. You can see he gets passed off because this other guy's coming. But this outside corner's coming, this guy gets passed off. One of these 2 guys will always get through. That's why I like to run Jeremiah Owusu Koromoa here pretty fast. So one of these 2 guys on the outside gonna get through. If we go back and run it again, we are gonna want to pinch the D line. So left on the D-pad, down on the left stick, crash up twice. So left on the D-pad, up on the right stick, and then do that one more time. Contain. So right bumper twice. And then you can see we will just, like I said, snap the ball, and we want to hover. You can see my hover wasn't even as good that time, and we still got the pressure in. If you want the blitz to be a little bit better, if you're playing someone who is a little bit better and they're making adjustments, they're not quick snapping you quite as much, you can actually go ahead and move this guy in. If you move this guy in right on his hip, the blitz is going to come in that much faster. You can see that the pass off happens immediately because the left tackle doesn't know who to take. You can see that right there. Now, if I block the running back, so the running back is not blocked, you can see this blitz is still going to come in. My hover did not get off that time. One more time. So the hover is essential, like I said. Let's see if I can get it off that time. I did. You can see he did get chipped that time. Still got back up. In MUT, I promise this running back block does not work the same. Most of the time, the running back does not actually ID the guy and pick him up. If he does, you can see the coverage is decent behind us. I mean, if my user was actually in the right place, right? You can see probably hitting the seam. We can obviously make some coverage adjustments behind this. The most interesting thing about the 155 is that I can continue to give them the same look and actually not send 5, right? So I can do something like put this slot corner in a hook, in a vert hook, and now I have help. Or I can put him in a purple and maybe put this this back guy in a deep half if I'm worried about getting bombed over there. I could shade down and then put that guy in a purple, and now I'm able to that side of the field. So you really have a lot of different options out of the same look. And the cover 2 look is going to be the same as well. We're going to jump into that next. Jumping into the nickel dog 2, which is going to be our cover 2 setup. We're going to set it up the same way. You want to pinch, crash up twice, and you're going to want to do that whether you're blitzing or not, as well as contain. Now with a cover 2, you're always going to want to put a deep third. We never really want to play our cover 2 as just a 2, just because we get bombed so easily down the middle, especially by a lot of the meta offenses that are out right now. You're always going to want to put a deep third. Occasionally you might want to put a mid read there, but remember that it's not going to play as deep. It's going to play deep, but not quite as deep. I like to put a mid read more if it's in the red zone or something like that. So I'll show y'all the, you could obviously run this like this for the blitz, but I almost never run it stock. I always put A in a purple. So it's going to be right on the D-pad twice, A, and then right on the left stick. Sorry, I know it's a Mortal Kombat combo, guys. And then, like I said, we want to put X in a deep third. And we want to put our user in a blitz angle. It doesn't make you move faster this year like it did in previous years, but I do feel like it makes the hover get picked up that much better. So we run something like this. We can switch up the sides, which side, depending on whether they're running a flood concept or whether they're running something to the opposite sideline. And we can really give them a lot of different coverage looks with this as well. We can also go ahead and mid read this guy, like I said. We can double purple and be responsible for the middle ourselves. Like I said, this is going to be a really high risk defense because there's all this space you have to cover as a user and you have to hover, so you're late getting there. But if you have a good user, you can make it work. And this is the setup I'm going to use most often. I just think there's too many cover 3 beaters, especially out a bunch, so I prefer this defense. If you do start getting bombed, let's say they're bombing vert, you can do something like outside third that corner. And that's actually going to play better. It's going to go back the outside third, and the half is going to guard that. Somewhat in the same way your quarters would go back and play those. You can see if we snap the ball, it's kind of the same thing as the other one. It's a little bit slower. We don't get the disengage. If you remember, in this setup, we are sending one less person. So right now we're only sending 4. Right? We can also only send 3, as I mentioned. And we can really do a lot of different things with the slot corner. I'm not going to go through all of them since this is a mini scheme one day, but you can see me flipping through the different adjustments, all the different things. You can put him in a vert hook to help you out. You can put him in, you know, a seam flat and have that play as a purple over there with your zone drops. And now, you know, we're double mabled. We have that deep third and we're playing the middle. So this is a really good option. And you're still going to get good pressure with those unpredictables. Lastly, we're going to go ahead and jump into a man setup. For the man setup, we're going to be running out of mid blitz. And for this one, you're going to want to do, well, there's a bunch of different options that we have here, honestly. Man coverage is not something that's great this year. You don't want to run it consistently, but from time to time, running man coverage, especially if you have good pressure with the man coverage, can really throw your opponent off especially if you're playing a lesser opponent. They don't know what they're looking at. They've been getting cover 3 looks all game, cover 2 looks, and then all of a sudden they get a man look out of nowhere. They're not really sure what to do with the football. Pressure's coming. Can create turnovers like I mentioned. So the most basic setup we're going to go with is we want a deep blue X and go ahead and purple out to the bunch side. As you can see, we can snap this ball. Same thing, we're always going to want to hover. You can see that's pretty good coverage. That's not bad, right? We have the tight end crossing. He's manned. He's cross-manned, right? And we can start to do other things like I mentioned. We can do 2 purples. We can do these on different zone depths. We can do something like this, right? And really all these are going to have different advantages and weaknesses. You see the running back there is technically uncovered, so I had to hover him and then get off of him, and there was pretty good coverage there downfield. So especially with the pressure and your unpredictables, it can really leave your opponents guessing. Like I said, you don't want to overuse man, but man sprinkled in there a couple times a game really can keep the opponent guessing. That nickel dog 2 is going to be my main setup, but like I said, sometimes we are going to use the overload 3, and occasionally we're going to jump into this mid blitz and really confuse them and hope to get a turnover. I did want to quickly go over one last thing, which is if you are getting toted on out of this formation, what to do. As I said earlier, I do like the cover 2 or cover 3 show 2 in this situation if they're running the football a lot. And then if they're running the football a lot, you know, we still want to give them the same look, pinch the defense. I still like to contain to try to keep the run inside. The difference is we're going to want to pull our user back a little bit if they continue to run. We're not going to want to keep up so close and hover because we are going to get sucked into these blocks a lot easier on the run, and we're just not going to be able to shoot anything. So if you go ahead and get back here, then when the ball is snapped, see, I still actually got sucked into a block there, and that's why we want to go back. So let me go one more time. You can see this time I don't get sucked into a block. I'm not able to shoot it because it's an outside run, but you can see I'm still able to make the play for a minimal gain if you didn't break the tackle. That's not the point. You know, practice mode is wacky. So we'll do that one more time. You can see there we get locked in as opposed to if we're back here, you can see that we don't get locked into a block and we actually have an opportunity to keep the run inside and make a play. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed another episode of Mini Scheme Monday, baby. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, slide on over to the Twitch, twitch.tv/yums_95. I might be live right now. You could be missing it. No, really, you could be missing it. Head on over. We'll see you next time.